Good old test-driven development. This is going to be the second most contentious topic in this documentation right after clean code, which is next, so don't you worry about it. My personal journey into TDD started after a nearly disastrous enterprise project, and here's some things we observed. Is one, the more code we wrote, the slower we went. Two, the more people we brought on, the slower we went. Three, the more time that went on, the slower we went. Things got slower and slower with each release, and it got harder and harder to ship with each feature. By the time the project was done, we actually had a larger QA team than we had developers. Some people describe the slow degradation of software over time as entropy, but I actually think there's a better analogy. I was watching a biologist on YouTube who was explaining their history in life extension research. And he was saying that he went to a conference, and at this conference, where he was studying life extension, he stumbled into cancer researchers. And then he thought, why am I meeting cancer researchers at a life extension conference? And then it hit him. The opposite of life is not death. The opposite of life is cancer. And death is nature's answer to keep unchecked growth checked. What's interesting though is this is not only a biological phenomenon, it also seems to happen in human-made systems. For instance, think of an immortal institution. This is an organization that cannot die, that cannot go out of business. First generation, you have the people who are passionate, results driven. Then as they start to reach the end of their tenure, they hire the next generation. And then that generation hires the next generation. And each subsequent generation of employees that are at this company, slowly and slowly, the organization starts to drift from their mission, starts to turn to cancer. And if that company cannot die, it becomes a wholly cancerous organization. The same thing happens with software, but with software, because it is not constrained in the same way as physical systems and biological systems, it happens much faster. Now, we've all worked with cancerous systems, right? Where when you touch one thing, it breaks another thing. When you release one feature, it kills another feature. Well, cancerous software is one of the most difficult and frustrating things to work in. And you know you're in cancerous software when you don't want to touch anything. After the project had finished and was being rolled out, I found myself reflecting how frustrating it is to work in cancerous software, to see things break over and over and over, and to be so helpless. In a desperate attempt to achieve something, anything, I don't know what, I ended up Googling bug-free software. That's when I stumbled on an organization called Clean Coders, at the time run by one Bob Martin. They're a software services company that offered a bug-free guarantee. And I thought what any software engineer would think when they read this, yeah, fucking right. Turns out, Bob wasn't fucking around. I actually watched him TDD, and it wasn't long before I saw the value. So I spent the next few years honing my skills to write TDD code effectively. Now, it's not the TDD itself that's the secret, it's actually the 3 laws. 1, write production code only to pass a failing test. 2, only write as much of a test that is needed to fail. And 3, only write as much production code as you need to pass the failing test. Now, there's a lot of nuance to this, but what you're going to find that this, in combination with certain clean code principles, will result in code that cannot turn to cancer. In fact, in the Spruce ecosystem, we upgrade every third-party dependency every 2 hours, and we do it with confidence. Plus, it makes it so anyone who's familiar with the disciplines to jump right into code and be productive, even if that other person is you, 3 months from now. Okay, I'm done pitching TDD. Obviously, you don't have to do it, but I can almost guarantee that once you get the hang of it, you'll wonder how you ever lived without it.